Welcome to Tech and More. As part of the ongoing series that is writing different types of test cases for different scenarios. And the scenario in picture is a registration page. As you can see on the screen right now, this is a dev.org registration page. And as told in the previous videos, we are designing test cases for different fields on the registration page. So in this video, we are going to discuss designing test cases around the email field specifically, right? But before proceeding with actually designing the test cases, let me talk a bit about the playlist, which is designing different types of test cases pertaining to Salesforce functionalities or registration page. So if you want to get more idea and if you want to find more test cases pertaining to Salesforce or registration, please go ahead and watch this series from the very start. Cool. So focusing on today's topic, that is designing different types of test cases for the email field on the registration page. Let's start. I am going to go to the spreadsheet where I'm tracking the test cases. They're already written there. So the first one for the video today is the title reads validate that the user is able to enter the email ID in the correct format, right? And these are the prerequisites and test data and all these different parameters are important for a test case, but what they are, what is the significance, again, I have already explained all of that in the first video of this entire series, so I'm not going to repeat it. So I would suggest you to go ahead and have a look at that video, or I mean the first test case video of the series. Then you will get all the details. So I'm going to straight away jump into the test steps. The first step reads navigate to this URL. It says the site should open and pass. Then the second step says fill in the email ID as reachtechandmore@gmail.com, which by the way is our official email ID as well, right? So just in case if you need anything, feel free to shoot an email here. Now the expected result says that user should be able to fill in the data. So let's do one thing. Let me copy this entire email ID and let me paste it here, and let me then read the next step. It says change the field or press tab, and then what should happen? The user should not get any error and be able to enter the correct email address. Let's try doing that. I will go ahead and I will press on tab, and I did not get any email. So that means that the correct email ID when input into the email field, it will not give any error and it will take in the input correctly, right? So that is what was expected. Again, going to the test case title, the expectation was that the user should be able to enter an email ID in the correct format, which she or he is able to do, right? So we have validated the first test case for email field and it is working perfectly fine. Cool. Now let's switch on to the next test case, right? And the next test case reads the title, which is something like validate the user is not able to enter email ID in the correct format, right? Sorry, I'm so sorry. This is bad. I'll just correct it right now without wasting any time. It should read validate the user is not able to enter email ID in the incorrect format, right? That means that if I am entering the email in the wrong format, it should throw an error, right? Skipping all these parameters as discussed, let's straight away jump onto the steps or the test case steps, right? The first step, of course, the as per the previous test case, it reads navigate to this URL, site should open, which we already are there. Now let's go to the second step, which is essential. The step says fill in the email ID as reach tech and more or abc@gmail or abc.com, right? So let me fetch any of these three options. I'll just fetch reach tech and more, and let me go to the registration page again and let me paste it here. So as you might observe, or as you should observe, this email ID is not in the correct format. It is just the word, the at the rate and the syntaxes are missing, right? So it says enter valid email. And when you hover over this, it shows you an error which says please include an at the rate in the email address. I mean, it gives you the idea of what a correct email address is as well, right? And same thing happens for the other two formats as well. If I only put in as reachtechandmore.com, then also it should throw an error because that is not the correct format, right? Now, let's suppose if I write it down as reachtechandmore@gmail.com, it will stop giving me the error, and that means that the correct email ID has been input, right? Again, going back to the main test case title, which or the expectation which said validate the user is not able to enter email ID in the incorrect format, right? So when we input the email ID in different formats and incorrect formats, the error was thrown and it suggested you or asked you to enter the correct email ID. So the functionality is working appropriate, it is working as expected, right? So the second test case for the email field is also validated. So of course, these are the two major types of test cases that there could be for the email field, as you see on the registration page. And next time, if you are asked this question in an interview, or next time when you're asked to design the test case for this email field on a registration page in your project, which is a very generic concept, which is a very generic scenario, you can simply go ahead, refer to these test cases, and design your test cases accordingly. That is something from my end. Now, a task for you: please do some brainstorming and suggest me some more test cases for this field, right? uh, One more thing, see, do not think of this as a boring task, because I've seen people who feel that, you know what, designing test cases manually is so boring. It's not. Because even if you're doing automation, even if you're doing performance or any sort of vertical testing, you have to have the basic intellect of thinking of different test cases, and how can you break the system. This particular thing, no automation, nothing teaches you. Thinking of these test cases is very critical, is very important. So do some brainstorming, think about it, and do share the different types of test case ideas that you have in your mind via comments. And of course, if you have any questions or any queries, please feel free to reach out to us, and we'll be more than happy to respond within 24 hours. So I hope that this video was helpful to you, and hopefully see you in the next video. Thank you.